really for me, the prize is about bringing people together.
Nurturing your young minds and helping to shape your futures.
So to be able to bring them all together and celebrate that is fantastic.
Wherever I am and whatever office block I'm sitting in.
You just got to keep going the way you're going.
I want to show that it is possible.
If you're lucky, you're lucky.
With Charles at the helm of the royal family now, he really needs to modernise. So that will be slimming down the number of working royals, but also making sure that the younger members of the family, who are the future, are given the prominence that they deserve.
This slims down monarchy is designed to represent modern, progressive, inexpensive version of monarchy, because that's how Charles thinks the public will respond to it. There is this small band of them at the heart of the firm who are going to be the significant figures, but it's also meant that William is very much presented as the one that people have to watch.
We support with pride and respect your decisions about your future.
They are hard-working royals, but most of all, they're popular. People love to see them, and people love to see the family all together. So they can be very effective in keeping up the profile of the monarchy and keeping the royal family popular.
What's really nice is I noticed when I was working for him at Highgrove, he was very much training his son, Prince William. He was teaching him all the things that he had learned. So he's passed on to Prince William, who is now the Prince of Wales.
These days, the monarchy, our monarchy, is a charitable monarchy. Its primary function is to shine a light on charities. The royal family supports thousands of charities. They are a very normal family.
The royal family exists because of the people and for the people, so you have to be able to appeal to the people that you exist to serve.
Being a member of the royal family has never been easy. To be a representative of the crown means upholding country and duty above all else. Zara and Peter are members of the royal family who inspire, create, and bring about change to the world.
They've definitely managed to make their own way and be their own person.
From witnessing their parents divorce at a young age to now being mother and father to their own families, Zara and Peter have continued to build on the legacy of their mother, the most hard-working member of the royal family.
I think Zara and Peter are very proud of the fact that their mum, Princess Anne, is always described as the hardest working royal. Whenever they do the stats of who does the most royal engagement, Princess Anne always does the most. And they certainly look to their mum as a role model in the royal family. She just gets the job done.
Volunteering time, or whether it's a bit of money, paint the local community centre, or get some money together for a new play set in the park. It doesn't matter. It's just something that we can put back into our communities.
We're a team of 5. Not one of us was totally perfect. Little mistakes by all of us, which makes it a team effort by everybody, and we support each other.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a great result from in the Gold Cup. The horses and the family, it's a massive family effort as well.
For their lives led outside of the monarchy, they are applauded for being relatable and continuing to show determination and grace, making the future of the monarchy a strong one to see.
Zara and Peter Phillips are the son and daughter of Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, and Captain Mark Phillips. And they certainly had a privileged upbringing, and they will admit that themselves. Whether they were going sailing, whether they were on yachts, whether they were travelling, they definitely had the best of everything.
Peter was actually Queen Elizabeth's first grandchild. He has grown to be looked at as a role model to Prince William, and, in the words of his late grandfather, the Duke of Edinburgh, a winner. Zara's first name was suggested by the then Prince of Wales, her uncle Charles. She was christened on the 27th of July 1981 at Windsor Castle. Peter's birth welcomed a 41-gun salute from the Tower of London and was christened on the 22nd of December 1977 by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Donald Coggin, in the music room at Buckingham Palace. It's clear what his birth meant, as we see the adoration of Peter through Queen Elizabeth's eyes, her first grandchild. The two siblings grew up describing their childhood as privileged. They would spend a lot of time playing around with other children, like Prince Harry and Prince William. Together, they have shared places such as Sandringham, Balmoral, and Windsor, and are believed to have been incredibly lucky to share a lot of their time with loads of other children.
I imagine you and Zara must have had so much fun growing up in that sort of environment and being able to make the most of that. Incredible.
We had a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of space for kids to run around with. But it wasn't just us. It was the Waleses and Freddie and Ella Windsor and the Gloucesters, and so there was quite a gang of us growing up in that age, and it was a lot of fun. We caused quite a bit of mayhem and chaos, but fortunately, we don't think we broke too much.
Yeah, and when you played sword fighting, there were always the odd suit of armour kicking around to grab us.
Yeah, they drew the line of taking things off the wall.
Oh, okay.
They definitely felt very lucky. They got to travel and meet these amazing people and do all these amazing things, but they definitely have made their way in the world as well.
Peter was also rumoured to be the late Queen Elizabeth's favourite grandchild, as she thought Peter had inherited the resilience that's so characteristic of his mother, Anne.
Both Zara and Peter Phillips went to Port Regis School in Dorset before, like many members of the royal family, they went to Gordonstoun in Scotland, and that's actually where King Charles III went to school as well.
Many members of the royal family have been educated, including his sister and his grandfather, Prince Philip, and his uncles, Edward and Andrew and Charles. This is a boarding school in the very north of Scotland, very much outward bound, very good for security. It's teaching people not so much academic rigor, it's not a very academic school, but a school which is very good about teaching leadership and public service. They all have to serve time in the they have their own fire brigade, they do a lot of stuff with climbing and sailing.
They would often return home from school to their father and Princess Anne in the holidays, and they knew that to have freedom, they had to earn it. Respect was a huge part of the family's attire, so if there was spilt wine on the carpet or a broken vase on the table, they knew father, for one, wasn't going to be pleased. Their mother Anne, however, had long been praised for her tireless work ethic, but it would appear that she was never too busy for her children. Her relationship with her children has proved to be an inspiring one, with Peter and Zara both saying that they feel lucky to have her and want this to correlate with their own families. This says a lot about the way they raise their own children and how the future of the monarchy sets up to be one that comes from a nurtured background.
There's a great deal of respect for Princess Anne. She's someone who just gets on with the job with a very little fuss. She's not briefing the press the whole time. A lot of work she does is totally under the radar. She had 214 engagements last year, 2022, the most of any member of the royal family. I think people respect the fact that she just gets on with the job, doesn't complain. She was like that really as an equestrian. She'd fall off the horse and just get back on and not make a fuss. And this no-nonsense approach, which she inherits very much from her parents, is how she continues to this day.
How important is it, do you feel, Mum, for the future of this fund, the viability of this fund, the publicity that accompanies you where you go is obviously an important factor?
Well, I hope that it will... I mean, people nowadays are much more questioning, I think, about where their money goes when they're giving to charities, which seems to me perfectly fair. And to some extent that through these visits and what they see on reports, helps to show them exactly what's going on, so much the better. I mean, that would probably be its main advantage.
Princess Anne has been deemed the hardest working royal, while simultaneously staying out of the public eye over the years. The values of keeping her personal life to herself reflected how she chose to raise her two children, and whom she opted not to give royal titles.
I think Zara and Peter are very proud of the fact that their mum, Princess Anne, is always described as the hardest working royal. I think once Zara had a conversation with Princess Anne about if she would ever retire, and she said it was a very short conversation and a very short answer, and we obviously know that means no. And you know, Princess Anne, whenever they do the stats of who does the most royal engagement, Princess Anne always does the most. And they certainly look to their mum as a role model in the royal family. She just gets the job done.
Much like herself, Anne also wanted to give her children the opportunity to live a private life out of the glaring public eye, and give her children a chance at a normal life.
Peter and Zara don't have royal titles because their mother, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, didn't want them to have them. Didn't think that it was necessary, didn't want them to have that pressure of being Her Royal Highness or of being, you know, prince or princess. And they have said, Zara and Peter themselves have said, that they're grateful that they didn't have those royal titles, and that's enabled them to really make their way in the world.
Although Zara's early years showed tough love, she also has her father to partly thank for her and her brother's chance at a normal life. Anne married Captain Mark Phillips on the 14th of November 1973 at Westminster Abbey. And, at the time of their wedding, Phillips had actually rejected the offer of an earldom from the Queen, in hopes of wanting to stay a commoner and not ascend into the ranks of royalty. This meant that they were private citizens and had to work for their own money.
And I think they just felt that in a modern democracy this didn't really fit. They're not working royals, they've had to make their own living. And they've lived very much under the radar. I think that she was the first that really, in a sense, did this. And it's, again, a mark of her independence and her, I think, desire that the monarchy should evolve. In many ways, I think she's on the same page as her older brother Charles, that there needs to be a slimmed-down monarchy. And though she is a working royal, she could see that that could be a burden for her own children. And they've been spared that, really.
Their mother's marriage to Phillips ended in 1992 when Peter was 14 and Zara was 10. Unfortunately, this was due to a rocky marriage, which eventually led to a divorce. They were rarely seen together and were thought to be involved in extramarital affairs. These problems entered the public eye when, in 1985, Phillips fathered a love child with the New Zealand art teacher Heather Tonkin. The pair separated in 1989 and divorced in 1992.
Well, the marriage to Mark Phillips was, to a large extent, successful initially, but they both had affairs. I think they found that they were not totally compatible, despite their shared love of riding. And she herself is supposed to have had an affair with a police protection officer.
When Princess Anne was divorced from Captain Mark Phillips, it definitely had an effect on the two children, on Zara and Peter, but they said that their mum did their best, well, their parents did their best to shield them from it. But obviously, you know, it was nearly the 90s, it was around 1989 when they got divorced, and it was definitely a different time. It was kind of unheard of in the royal family at that time, and so it was all over the newspapers, was a big scandal. But they said that their mum did their best to try and shield them from all of that. They do socialise together, but in the early years, like any siblings, they did have their share of arguments. But I think when their parents divorced, that brought them closer together, and they've remained close ever since.
Experience the past like never before with History Hits award-winning original documentaries and ad-free podcasts with our expert historians like Dan Snow, Susanna Lipscomb, Lucy Worsley, Mary Beard, Tristan Hughes, and myself, Matt Lewis. Sign up for an exclusive discount using the link in the description and embark on your historical journey from the wonders of ancient Egypt and the life of Anne Boleyn to the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte and the discovery of Shackleton's endurance. Get history wherever, whenever, exclusively on History Hit.
Anne went on to marry Sir Timothy Lawrence, who was an equerry to the late Queen Elizabeth II. He and Anne met while he was a commander in the Royal Yacht Britannia. And it is said that Tim never stopped thinking about Anne from the moment they met. She is said to have been his closest confidant for quite some time.
Only reason that people realised that that Princess Anne was having a relationship with Tim Lawrence was that I think possibly a member of staff stalled intimate correspondence between the two of them. This was published in the papers. The material was eventually returned to them, but this is how people really learned about the relationship with the equerry. And it must be very difficult. At one moment you're serving the royal family, the next you're a member of the royal family. But in some ways since then, they've not put a foot wrong. And again, like Sophie and Prince Edward, they live very private lives. They are very traditional. Princess Anne, of course, is now a grandmother, has 5 grandchildren. And, they live a very domesticated life, really. He's now Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence, hugely respected figure, and now involved in charities like English Heritage. As the Queen and Prince Philip got older, responsibilities were shifted down. Anne took on many of the responsibilities of the Queen. So though she'd been a long-serving president of Save the Children, she became patron, which she took over from the Queen. And Tim Lawrence has taken on a number of those responsibilities as well, in areas that interest them. And one of their great shared loves, Tim Lawrence and Princess Anne, is sailing. They're extremely good sailors. They spend a lot of time sailing around the north-west of Scotland. And indeed, one of the favourite things of the royal family, the way they really got away from things, was to take the Royal Yacht Britannia on their annual cruise around the Scottish Isles.
Tim has always been there for her and has given her a shoulder to cry on when she needed someone to tell her troubles to. He understands her tantrums and the bad publicity she attracts. But, most importantly, he cares for Anne in a way Mark Phillips didn't.
Tim Lawrence, who married Princess Anne in 1992, is an integral part of the royal family. Zara and Peter have described him as a great stepfather, probably, their favourite stepfather. He is very close with them, and he's very close with the royal family, actually, as well. So much so that he was given a place on the balcony for the fly past during the Jubilee celebrations last year. He was the only non-working member of the royal family to be there. So he definitely has a special place in the royal family and in the hearts of Zara and Peter Phillips.
Spanning over 3 decades, he has prioritised Peter's and Zara's well-being and has kept Princess Anne happy above all. Zara followed in her mother's footsteps, becoming a skilled equestrian. This passion for horse riding is one that has been passed down through generations of royal families.
The royal family have always had this great love affair with horses. The Queen raced horses. She rode until she was in her 90s. And Princess Anne inherited this love of horses, was fearless as a child, and was a very talented horsewoman. And as a result, was representing her country at various 3-day events in this country, at the Olympics. And so horses became very much her life. It's how she met her husband, Mark Phillips. He was also an equestrian representing the country, and this was a shared bond with her mother. The Queen Mother loved horse racing, often went to horse racing, but the way that they relax is with horses, and they all ride.
For the last 4 years, she's been coached and trained by Mrs. Alison Oliver.
Princess Anne's just loosening him up now, having stretched out. She's just loosening him up now before working him. And then when he's warmed up and sufficiently supple, we'll start doing some gymnastic work over jumps.
Doublet, who would go to Munich with the princess if she's selected, was originally a present from the Queen, the same horse on which Anne won the European 3-day championships last year.
raises his head a little, coming in. If you can keep your hand level and keep the leg, so he's not coming back a little higher than the hat.
In the business, Princess Anne has a reputation of being a good competitor with a lot of endurance and a dislike of not winning. Mrs. Oliver feels that she's managed to help boost her confidence.
The royal family have always been super passionate about horses, about horse racing, anything to do with horses. I mean, the Queen absolutely loved her racing. Going to the racing was definitely the highlight of her calendar. You know, she rode well into her 90s, actually, as well. Zara Phillips' mum, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, another accomplished horsewoman, competed at international level. And whenever they go on holiday, they go to Balmoral. It's all about the horse riding, racing, everything. And, you know, Zara Phillips managed to get sponsorship for her horse career in about 2003, and that took her to compete all over the world. She was supposed to compete in the Tokyo Olympics in 2008, but unfortunately got injured, but did win a silver medal at the London Olympics in 2012, and her medal was presented to her by her mother, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal.
50,000 people lined the course, many reserving their loudest cheers for the Queen's granddaughter, Zara Phillips, who jumped a clear round. Phillips would end with a silver medal in the team event and received it from her mother, the Princess Royal. It was a moment cherished by the home crowd and by the royal relations.
Oh, it was definitely the best I've been to, being in our home country and with the amazing support from the nation. The crowds have been fantastic and so behind us as a team. Wherever we've gone in Greenwich Park, there's just a continuous roar and cheer. It's going to be very quiet when we get home.
I wondered actually how the horses reacted to that sort of noise. It must have been a bit disconcerting for them, I would imagine.
I think all of them dealt with it really well, and you know, there was, when I set off cross country, I thought, you know, maybe it could distract them, but they were so focused and dealt with it really well, and yeah, just got on with what we asked them to do.
We were really worried about that. I think in the build-up we had no idea what we were going to experience with the noise, and it's amazing that they did cope. I mean, it was huge, and for them to even be able to concentrate to the levels that they did is.
Because it's something you can't prepare them for, is it?
Well, we try with a bit of clapping here and there at home trainings and some recordings and things to try to give them some sort of idea, and they've all competed at quite a high level, but there's been nothing like this. This is a one-off.
And she said, you know, she's really followed in her mother's footsteps when it comes to horses, when it comes to riding, eventing, you know, everything. She's really followed in her mother's footsteps, and she has been super successful on that stage.
Her mother came to be a huge inspiration to Zara. Whether it was sailing or travelling, or the people she met along the way, she was very lucky to meet incredible people whom she then learnt from as life went on. She remembers being able to experience different things as a young child, and that she's lucky that her parents have done that for them.
Zara Phillips and Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, are very, very close. They get on well, but they do have different personalities. Zara's a bit more outgoing. Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, she's a very hard-working royal, but she's a very, very private woman. You know, she's very much the epitome of keep calm and carry on. But they do get on despite their differences, and they are close.
A casual canter in the sunshine in her grandmother's back garden. No ordinary horse and rider, of course, but former European champion and Olympic hopeful Zara Phillips on her now retired gold medal winner Toy Town. He was the horse she was set to ride at the Beijing Games, missing out at the last minute when he sustained an injury. Now, 4 years on, she will have another chance to compete on her new contender, High Kingdom.
5 weeks to go, Zara. How are the nerves?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's still, with horses, it's still a long way to go, and we've just had team training, and, you know, we've got another session, and but yeah, it's all getting much closer, and everyone's getting more excited.
You've been here before, and unfortunately Toy Town became injured. How do you feel in the run-up now with High Kingdom?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's not just me who's had that problem before, you know. I think everyone on the team has had a problem in the past, and you just got to keep going the way you're going, I think, and, you know, if you're lucky, you're lucky.
Her career in equestrianism led her to become a director at Cheltenham Racecourse. Within her role, Zara was able to promote the equestrian team Great Britain as they prepared for the 2021 Tokyo Olympic Summer Games.
Zara, that was an exciting race. Are you proud to see the winner there?
Definitely. It's a very good race.
What was your view of the last couple of furlongs there?
So I was just glad he got home in front. Definitely an exciting race.
It didn't look as though he was going to win it at one stage, didn't it? It was a great finish for him.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know what's riding the horse. He's won anyway. That's the good thing.
It also led her to obtain a number of endorsement deals with a slew of high-end brands, such as Outdoor Clothing Muster, which is worth an estimated $1.55 million, and Hours, worth more than $100,000. She also has contracts with luxury companies such as Land Rover, Rolex, and investment firm Artemis.
She's had to sometimes get sponsorship from organisations like Range Rover to support her lifestyle and the costs of competing at that sort of level.
She actually got an MBE for her services to horse racing and the horse world.
Zara launched her own jewellery line, the Zara Phillips collection, in collaboration with Australian jewellery designer John Kalija.
How did that come about? Oh, it was quite by chance. Zara Phillips is very much involved in the Australian Magic Millions Racing Carnival, and Zara was whipping her horses along the Gold Coast beach, and I was asked to bring along my Kalija jewellery collection for her to wear, and she just fell in love with our pieces, which was really, really lovely to see. And we sort of got talking. Actually, the ring got stuck on her finger, and we couldn't get it off. So she had it on for 3 days. So I said, maybe we should do like a partnership. And we did this. We came up with this collaboration of Zara Phillips and Kalija co-designing this range of jewellery that has equestrian influences throughout the design. One of the rings being the saddle ring, and another one being the coronet ring. So yeah, and it just flowed. This is now 3 years down the track from when we first met, and we're very, very excited about tonight because it's the official launch of the collection tonight right here in the Royal Arcade in London, right at our store.
It's very nice, isn't it? We spoke to John before. It seems quite exciting to have your own jewellery range.
I know, it's crazy, and so many people. It looks beautiful though. It's really incredible to see it out and about.
I'd imagine it's everybody's dream to design sort of jewellery. I know you've done clothing and stuff before, so where did you start with jewellery?
Well, I didn't really, I mean, you know, John's the creative one. I just said what I didn't like really, and just to be some pieces that are really beautiful, yet wearable, classic, understated, but then maybe in the future be able to kind of roll with that and go more bling, more elaborate. But yeah, I just wanted pieces that you could wear every day and be able to wear them into night, you know, still look as good during the day as at night. And for those people who are busy all the time and can just wear diamonds, you know, all the time and be worked in or whatever that needs to be done in them.
Tell us about the actual designs of it, like you say, equestrian influenced. So how did you go about deciding what they'd look like?
Well, I worked very closely with Zara. I mean, to be honest, I don't know that much about horses, and Zara didn't know that much about jewellery. So it made a really nice partnership that we were able to complement each other really nicely. And I wanted the pieces to be very wearable, very accessible. They're very, very, very collegiate quality, and they're really beautifully made, and they're very special. And yeah, seem to be very popular, so that's really good.
Peter and Zara say their mother is a huge inspiration, not only to the country, but to them as a family. Her work ethic and her dedication are something that they think the whole family has always aspired to, at least, get somewhere near.
Peter Phillips was very successful. He was head boy. He went on to do sports science at Exeter, and then from there went into various jobs connected with sports sponsorship. At Jaguar, he moved at one point to Hong Kong, is now managing director for a company called SEL. So he's done very well for himself in his own chosen field.
Before Peter Phillips started his own sports management company, he held several positions at prominent companies, including Jaguar, the Williams Formula One racing team, and the Royal Bank of Scotland. But that was before he started his own company in sports management and decided to do his own thing.
Because it's never been done before, because we see the opportunity to take the technology in terms of being able to lay the track has allowed us to be able to operationally move in and out of cities a lot quicker now and be able to put it down, race and pick it back up again. It's allowed us the opportunity to be able to take it racing to a new audience, and that's really the key for all the stakeholders here is how we deliver that, but also how we do it in a safe manner, both from an equine perspective and also from the human perspective.
The two children took their mother's hard-working nature as inspiration to help others. Zara joined her Olympic and equestrian mother, Princess Anne, in backing World Horse Welfare, a charity that helps support working horses and those who depend on them. Anne is president, while Zara followed in her footsteps to become patron. Zara knows to her own cost that you have to care for your equestrian partner and that horses can get injured. Although she embodies the sport very well, it's important to be mindful of your partner that needs to be taken great care of. Peter has a patronage called Habitat for Humanity, which is a non-profit help to design homes for low-income families. He's an ambassador for their Youth Build programme, which gets youth involved on building sites and in the fundraising process. He was also the driving force behind the Patrons' Lunch in 2016, which was a street party being staged in the mall to mark the late monarch's patronage of more than 600 charities and organisations.
So it's called the Patrons' Picnic for that reason.
Patrons' Lunch, yeah.
Patrons' Lunch, sorry. I think Patrons' Picnic, go back and make a note of that. Change all the headings now. Change everything, yeah.
Kate came as a picnic blanket today.
I'm ready. If you need me, you can borrow it. But yeah, so, and you're giving a bulk of tickets to those charities, aren't you? And to charities generally to either raise money for themselves or to give to people within their charities.
Correct.
And this is something that you want the public to be involved with as well.
Absolutely, we want everyone to come out, but everyone to come out and hopefully support their own communities and give something back to their communities. At the end of the day, this is about the organisations and the charities which help and support a lot of us in our times of need. There are 18 different genres of organisation that will be here on the Mall on the 12th of June. And they, in one way or another, we would have all been touched by at least one of them. So it's a real opportunity for all of our communities around the country to come together and just do our own little bit, as well as having a good get-together, but also give something back to the communities around the country.
So they've definitely managed to make their own way and be their own person.
Peter Phillips' first love would be Autumn Kelly, who he met when he attended the 2003 Canadian Grand Prix, when Peter was working with Williams F1. She did not know until 6 weeks later, when she saw him on television, that he was the late Queen's grandson. The couple wed on the 17th of May 2008 at St George's Chapel, with a reception at nearby Frogmore House.
Peter Phillips has 2 children with his ex-wife, Autumn Kelly, who they got divorced in 2020, and their names are Savannah and Isla.
Unfortunately, the couple aren't together today. Their marriage lasted 13 years up to 2021. This is due to their relationship growing apart. Having the children's best interests at heart, the two have decided to co-parent their daughters, making them a priority in the relationship and remaining amicable. Mark Phillips, after marrying second wife Sandy Pfluger, said that after the birth of his son's children, Peter is seen to be a great father, much better than I ever was. In a continuation of Peter's close bond with Prince William and Prince Harry, Peter's children, Savannah and Isla, enjoy a good relationship with William's 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis.
Prince William tells a story about how you and he were chasing your sister on bicycles or something, and it ended up in a terrible collision, and the first person out was the Queen, came running out to check up on you. Remember that?
There are various elements of truth to that, and there are various elements that may have been distorted. But yeah, as I say, it was just we overstepped the mark occasionally. But I think that's what that's what growing up's about.
The Prince and Princess of Wales definitely want their kids to have as much of a normal childhood as they can, and they want that for all of them, for George, Charlotte and Louis. They want them to be able to enjoy their childhood things, playing sports, going to school, to protect them as much as they can until they can't, until they're over 18, until they have to be in the spotlight.
Later in 2021, Peter went on to date Lindsay Wallace, who was a school friend of Zara's from Gordonston. Lindsay and Peter grew close after a school reunion, following the breakdown of both of their previous marriages.
Peter Phillips announced his divorce from Autumn Kelly in 2020, and Zara actually set him up with one of her friends, Lindsay Wallace, and they were seen together at the Jubilee celebrations last year, and they're now thought to be an item, so we could see another royal wedding on the cards.
For Zara, the man of her dreams would also be a sportsman, Mike Tindall. Zara Phillips became Zara Tindall in March 2016.
Zara is married to Mike Tindall, a former English rugby player. She met actually in a bar in Australia. She was going to support the rugby team. He had been dropped for the game and was in the bar drowning his sorrows, and they were introduced through mutual friends. And they're two very sporty, very gregarious, very rather loud characters who were united by their love of sport.
Zara and Mike met in November 2003, and he says that they sort of were friends at first, that they just became friends and then really good friends and then took it to the next level. And he's been the one that's been credited with, really pushing Zara to take her career in horse racing, horse riding, eventing more seriously. He's very caring, he's very supportive, they're very supportive of each other publicly and privately. They do come across as very good friends, and they moved into a cottage on their mother's estate before their engagement was announced in 2010, and they were married in Edinburgh in 2011.
Does it help, do you think, that your boyfriend is a professional sports person as well? Does he encourage you?
Yeah, I think it does. Like we're both at the top of our sports, and hopefully rub off on each other. He's very relaxed but very confident in my ability, so that's quite nice to have around.
Does he spur you on? Do you train together, right?
No.
Probably good to keep him separate.
Yeah.
Zara and Mike Phillips were in attendance at Charles's coronation ceremony in May. They actually arrived with Prince Harry. They looked quite relaxed, looked like they were having a good time. Mike Tindall has a podcast, and he talks afterwards about how where he was sitting he couldn't actually see any of the action. Can you imagine sitting back there in the fourth row? And it's also thought that the night before the coronation, because they had the weekend without the kids, Zara and Mike had a big night out and had to get up very early to get ready for the coronation. So needless to say, they were a bit hungover.
The night goes late and everyone goes, oh, what have we got on tomorrow? Have I got any meetings tomorrow? What have we got on? Should we have another drink? What's going on? Oh, Charles is having his coronation. Come on, we can stay out a bit later. I mean, you must have had that conversation and thought, no, we're gonna still party for a bit longer.
Adol, never worry about what's tomorrow. Enjoy the moment, and then you can deal with the next day later.
Zara would come to have 3 children, Mia, Lena and Lucas. Their family bond is one that is extremely tight.
And there are often pictures of them in the paper. It's a very happy family, very down to earth.
She's very excited about the whole experience of being a mum, and we have quite a lot of banter amongst each other because I've known her since she was very young, and she was 10 and I was 20 when we were training together many years ago. So I'm so pleased that she's joined the older mother ranks.
Is she enjoying motherhood from the moments you've spoken to her?
Oh, well, look, she's probably still recovering and trying to catch up with a bit of sleep at the moment, but she will do, and she'll be a natural. We're used to looking after animals and being there, being responsible.
Have you shown her the jewellery? Does she understand what it is?
Yeah, no, she grabs a lot of things at the moment, so I might just keep them away from her.
Probably a bit of a choke hazard.
Yeah, definitely.
And can you wear them while you ride still?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're flat enough and, yeah, go under the gloves, so yeah, I'm hoping that we can.
Mia, Zara's little daughter, has already a piece of collegiate piece, diamond bracelet. My little daughter designed it for Mia, Zara's daughter, so yeah. She's taking over the reins, so to speak.
Watch out.
Yeah.
And do you think she'll end up bringing her daughter along with her for events?
Oh, I'm quite sure she will. I mean, my children come along to some competitions as and when it suits, and if they're not at school, she probably will have the baby with her to begin with, and she'll have somebody there to help her. And Mike, I'm sure, will be very much hands-on as well. So, hey, look, they'll be like any normal family, and she'll be really looking forward to getting back in the saddle again, I'm sure.
And of course, it's a royal baby, 16th in line for the throne. What will the child's upbringing be like, do you think?
I would say her upbringing will be very normal. Zara is a really normal person to be with. She's great fun, and I'm sure she'll do the same for her child as well. So, you know, they're great fun. You probably wouldn't even know if you were out in the streets, you'd meet Zara and you probably wouldn't realise who she was. But they're great fun to be with, and she's been brilliant with my children, so she'll be perfect with her own.
Brilliant. So Mike and Zara together, I mean, as parents, do you think they'll be quite relaxed parents?
I would say so, yes. I mean, they're relaxed, fun people to be around, and I'm sure that then will go on to their children and future children. So they will be very supportive of each other with both their careers and everything else. So the children will fit in with their lifestyles, as was with Zara herself. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't see there being any favouritism going on.
Do you feel then that it would be quite a different upbringing to George in terms of the difference in how they treat him?
Well, I'm sure, you know, even though from George's point of view, I'm sure that they will try and do the same for him. As you know, this day and age, the lifestyles of the royals are becoming more relaxed and more normal, so to speak. So from Zara's point of view, you know, she will make that effort to Mia very much not a normal family, earning a living and enjoying life.
And just one more. Do we think potential future Olympian in the daughter? I mean, obviously well bred for sport. What do you think?
Oh, look, she's a baby. She's not even a day old yet. Who knows? Look, you strive to do well. I came from very successful parents as well, and you want the best for your children. But you know, Zara's got another Olympics to aim for. Hopefully, if we can still be back on a team together. You know, London was so special. Look, if the baby is happy and healthy, and I'm sure she'll be given every opportunity.
Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, is a very hands-on grandmother, so much so that those 5 children, her 5 grandchildren, love going to visit her on Sundays, which definitely works well for the parents who can just palm them off on Granny for the day, and she absolutely loves it.
Zara is believed to be an excellent mother. She's been open about her struggles to balance quality time with kids, as well as having a career and fitting everything in around it. Her husband said of her parenting style that she punishes herself for going to work, only because she doesn't want to leave them behind. Zara's youngest daughter, Lena, was quick to follow the legacy of hard work that was pushed by her mother and grandmother, and actually joined Princess Anne for a day's work when she was just 3 months old, in an advert for pram company Eye Candy, another brand Zara is an ambassador for. In the advert, Zara cuddles her newborn before placing her into a car. A spokesperson for Eye Candy confirmed that Zara has been given another credit for her glowing CV as an Eye Candy parent.
The discipline for the sport is that motivation to do well, to produce results. I was keen to get back riding from a break, because I'd obviously been off for much longer this time. I do like my family being at events, and the Eye Candy for Land Rover is perfect for our lifestyle. You know, it fits in with everything that we're doing.
Although their mother divorced Mark Phillips when the two were very young, the pair actually have maintained a close relationship with their biological father throughout the years.
Peter and Zara still do get on with their father, Mark Phillips. Sometimes we have seen Princess Anne and Mark Phillips in public, you know, not necessarily close, not necessarily affectionate, but they're supporting their children in whatever they're doing. So they have remained close over the years.
With the support of their parents, Zara and Peter are not only members of the royal family, but are key to the future of the monarchy. The hard work, grace, and independently led lives make Zara and Peter the ideal royals for representing the crown, which Charles really hopes to be slimmed down.
I think another really effective member of the royal family is Zara Tindall. I mean, she's a hugely accomplished horsewoman. She's an Olympic medal winner. She's a great mom. She's down to earth. Her and Mike have this great relationship. They're seen as best friends. And I think they're quite relatable in a way. Mike Tindall has this great podcast that people love to listen to. He's really funny. So I think actually these two could be the secret weapon in the royal family that maybe we didn't know we needed.
With their efforts of staying a commoner from a young age, the family have grown to be loved by many around the world and leave a striking representation for their own children. Whatever the future holds, it's clear that Zara and Peter will continue to inspire and live on the legacy of their mother, Princess Anne.